Welcome to Own It, Your Business and Your Life, with Nicola Cairncross and Judith Morgan. In this podcast, we're going to cover everything you need to embrace to become a successful entrepreneur, marketing, money, and much, much more. How to create a business doing just what you love. How to own it, your business and your life. This one will be fast, funny, feisty, and very lively. So sit back and enjoy the show. Hello, Judith. Welcome back. God,
hello.
It's so lovely to have you back. I've had so much fun with our other chums, as we would say. But you're welcome back. Welcome.
Well,
back.
Thank you. And let's first start by saying, I must say, thank you so much to Jacqueline Rogers and Irene Condon, and then you had Sarah Newton, Marion Ryan, and Sue Revel. Thank you so much. They were not. They only needed to be asked once. Would you like to stand in for the podcast? There was no persuading or arm twisting required. They were 5 up for it women, so that was brilliant.
Yeah, and it's lovely to be able to bring those 5 up for it women to at least 500 new listeners. So that's great.
Marvellous.
And they're also different, weren't they? That was the thing. You were listening as a punter, weren't you? Really?
Yes, it didn't save me any time at all, Nicola. It was really a foolish thing because normally what we do is we speak together live for about an hour and then I type up the notes. And I was thinking, well, this would be nice, somebody else to do all the work for me. But actually, then I had to listen to the hour in order to type up the notes. So it didn't really save me anything, but it saved me thinking up what I wanted to talk to you about. And frankly, that's the easiest bit.
Yes, it is. So tell us one thing about your week then. Can include mini rant.
Okay, well, it's been a bit of a rude shock after 5 weeks off, returning to work. This is 10 o'clock on Wednesday morning, which is my 3rd day back at work. And Monday was busy, but not a patch on Tuesday. Yesterday morning, I did an hour and a half group call and then 3 back-to-back people in the afternoon, 2 of whom were people I didn't know. One lady who I discovered I had, I think, Liz Truckle, who's one of our listeners, in common with. And then later on in the conversation, we discovered we had Karen Gilbert in common. So that was quite fun. And then at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I spoke to a chap, a 30-year-old chap in Hamilton, Ontario in Canada, who had a house guest about 5 weeks ago who listened to him and said, you've got to talk to Judith. And I kept leading him by the nose and saying, let me see if I can find some time for you in August. And in the end, I couldn't, because I was so off my game. I couldn't find a space for him. So the poor man had to wait 5 weeks. But we had a fantastic conversation, and that was good. But all I can tell you, it's a rude shock being back at work.
Well, I'm going to tell you something that you already know, but yes, our listeners don't.
Yep.
I have decided to go and live in Greece for 6 months at least. And I'm going with Sarah. She's coming with. She's my stalwart companion on this occasion.
Okay.
And there's several reasons for it. One is to do with our client challenge of the week. I need to change my scenery, Judith. I need to get out from behind this desk that looks down this little alleyway into my back garden, because I know the rain is coming and I can't cope with looking down this rain back alley for the whole of winter. I just can't do it. No. And the kids are so grown up now. I see Nelson once or twice a week as he pops in on his busy schedule, and Phoebe does spend time around here, but she's at the evenings and weekends she's off with her mates, and that's exactly how it should be. And I've got to find a different life. I've got to put my life together again. And it's not just about Steve, it's about the whole empty nest thing as well. I've got into the habit of just being there for the kids and working, and there isn't anything outside that. I used to have dinner party. I mean, next door, right? Here's next door in there. Well, he's just had his 70th birthday. All the long weekend, they had dinner parties. People coming and going, laughter, chinking of glasses, you name it, it was going on. And I just thought, my life used to be like that. And here I am sitting watching endless episodes of West Wing, which is quite fun. I'm really into West Wing.
Yes.
But I want more. And I don't know how to make more, because when the evening comes, I just haven't got the energy for anything. So I think I've got to jolt myself out of it. It's got to be a short, sharp shock, like a dunk, a dunk. And going to live in Greece, apart from anything else, we were looking at house sits in France, as I think you know. And you can go and sit in someone's house for 6 months and not pay anything except for your logs being delivered. And it just gives you a breathing space to think about. I think it will give us a breathing space to think about how I want the rest of my life to be. I hope.
Well, my motivation in moving from here is very similar. And the only thing that fills me with fear actually is logs. I've never in my entire life started my own fire with logs, nor do I have any ambitions to do that. You see in those estate agents particulars that the wood burning stove, it's like, I don't really want one of those. And everybody in the entire world wants one of those. That's a sort of, my mother used to call her next door neighbour, when she could hear him in the coal house, she said, Tom is scrabbling up the coal. I have no desire to make fire and then clean out the ashes so I can make another one.
Yeah. Well, in these remote places, which is where you end up house sitting, you often have a log fire.
Nice.
I quite like it.
Yes. Well, so you're prepared to make it though?
Yeah, I am. I don't mind making fires, but what I do mind is the fact that piles of logs shelter long-legged inhabitants, which I'm not so keen.
Well, I didn't really want to have to tell you this today, but since you brought up the S word, I was sitting at my desk the night before last with the window open, which it's been for months now, because even today it's really hot. And I saw a very big S word, bigger than I've ever seen in this house before. And I'd noticed people
coming in the window.
Saying, well, it didn't come in, fortunately, but it was on the edge, and it was it had clearly walked, unbeknownst to me, down the window frame, half in and half out, and it chose at the bottom to go out, which I was very grateful for. But so I caught a brief glimpse of a bigger S word than I've ever seen in England.
Good grief.
I know. And it had a big black body. And I thought of you. No. I thought of you, and I thought, I can't tell her that on the podcast. No.
And what I really am grateful for is that you didn't put a picture on my Facebook timeline.
Well, Nicola, it would take me 20 minutes to get my camera out, a day to charge the battery up. Photographs, it's never going to happen, honestly.
Phoebe sent me a Snapchat of one that was above her bathroom window thing, and she zoomed in on it. Suddenly, I had to throw my phone across the room.
Yes. I'm not actually scared of them in the same way that you are. I wouldn't have wanted to had any interaction with that one.
It meant business.
Yeah, but I know I peacefully coexist with a lot of smaller ones, because I see little webs everywhere, not just in the house, but outside on the car, mirrors and all sorts of things. I mean, they're in our lives.
Yeah, but they don't need to be in our faces, do they?
No, they don't. Anyway, the good news about your Greek story, and you're right, you had tipped me the wink about this last week, is that we are both going off to live the adventures that inspired, I think, in part by the summit.
It definitely did stir up thoughts, I've got to say. Listening to all those people who've been brave, well, in my mind, been brave enough to do it. None of them seem to think it was anything special at all.
I think the other thing is, and I encourage my clients to do this all the time, and it's one of the things I don't particularly follow my advice on, but we're about to, is, adventures only happen when you leave the house. They don't happen at home.
Exactly. And, I was also, the whole Snapchat and Facebook Live thing made me realise how narrow my life is, because I haven't got anything to talk about.
No, there's nothing to talk about. No, exactly right.
So, I do my best, but it's not really happening. But when I watch other people's Snapchats, they're out and about and they're doing things. Now, it's going to be, in some ways, it's a step back to step forward, because it's going to be even quieter in Stupa. There's going to be, here I'm in Shoreham High Street. I can get in the Crown and Anchor. I could go out for lunch with Pete. I could, there's quite a lot I could do here if I wanted to. But what I'm finding is that the whole grief thing is making me not want to do anything. And because I don't want to talk about it, I don't want to have to answer questions. I just don't want to. So I've withdrawn into myself. That's what I've realised. And what Greece is going to do is it's going to take me even further into a remote place, where I can, finish the healing, I suppose, and then come out. And I'm going to come out into something different. So it's a bit like I'm going voluntarily into a chrysalis in order to come out transformed in some way. Because when I come back, I won't be coming back to this house. I will be going to a different life. and I'm going to have time to think about that life. And because of the 6 months to a year, I mean, we're not sure how long yet. We've got to get out in April because they want to start using their house again. But we might go to another house sit, or we might try and find something else to rent there, depending on how it is. Or Sarah might come home and I might stay. It's making me make different decisions. I'm changing my environment to change my life.
Yes,
and I'm quite excited about it.
Yes, and I think you should be.
Yeah. I went through a bit of turmoil at the beginning when we had to make the decision, because they wanted to know, because they're going to Greece for a month themselves, the people who own this house, and they need to get broadband in for us if we're going. So we had to make a definite decision, and it sort of felt right on the day we were there talking about it. And Sarah and I came out, and I said, "We've got to do it, haven't we?" And she was up for it. So I'm very lucky to have someone to go with, because I'm a scaredy cat when it comes to most things. What's fueled your fire this week?
Well, again, this beginning of term thing is, and I'm going to come back to this on my word of the week, and I'm going to make it the topic of my newsletter this week. It's a strange old time, because old clients go and new clients come. And I think this year there have been fewer new clients than there were last year, but they're perhaps a better match. There are 3 fabulous new women already, and more in prospect as the month goes on, because I've got to scope out these new people. But it's, new clients fuels your fire. Old clients going and making room for them is a bit sad, but it's part of the process.
Yeah, I always used to hate it when a client moved on.
Yeah, they graduate, they're going on to better things. I'm sad that they're going, and I'm happy that they make room for new. But it is I'll tell you when we get to word of the week. But it's a funny, churny mixture of feelings. Excitement about I guess, like being at school. I can't really remember, and I'm glad I'm not going back to school. But there's that churny excitement of the new, but the regret of the loss of the old, which is actually worse for me at this time of the year, because I only like one season, and that's called summer. And although it's 20-something degrees today, and I hope it'll rain soon because it's so sticky, the dwindling of summer is not something I enjoy, which is why we're both going south from the UK.
Yeah, I mean, I know that the weather's going to be changeable there, but I also know there's going to be a lot more sunshine than there would be in Shoreham. So, yeah, I think I need that. I actually need that. I need more sunshine. A lot. Okay, so what's fueled my fire is something you put me onto, which is 100 Days of Solitude.
Yeah, which I'm going to talk about later as well. So try not to say too much.
I'm not going to. I'm just going to mention it. That's good that you're going to mention it, because I can't remember her surname. Daphne something.
Caps. I'll tell you when we get to. I'm going to put it in Who or What's Impressed today.
Okay. All right. Cool. Well, what it's done for me is it's reignited my love of writing. And what I realised was, because we're going to start a blog, obviously, about this this journey that we're on, and it's called swaggerandsoul.com. And that's a name that's been sitting around waiting for a home that we just, loved. And it seems quite apt, because I'm looking to regain my swagger, and Sarah's always had more soul than me. So we're going to have a blog and a podcast, and it's all going to be about feelings and how we feel and why we're doing it. And it's going to be very personal development-y, but it's really fueled. I've done my first 4 blog posts now, and it's really giving me an outlet. And I didn't realise how much I missed writing about feelings and thoughts rather than marketing tactics. And I can't do the feelings and thoughts writing on my business blog. I just can't do it, even though it's a personal sort of blog. It's too exposed. Too many clients look at it. I want something completely separate. And I've just absolutely loved writing, and I hope it continues. And I really want to turn this into a book. Whether we do the book as a combined thing, mine and Sarah's views on what's happening to us, or whether they end up 2 separate books, I don't know, and I'm not attached to the outcome on that one. But I think it'll bring a new twist. The fact that we're 2 sisters, we're both empty nesters, we're both going off to live somewhere that's going to be challenging, and hopefully people will like it.
I know you read the post that I wrote last week that's not available to anybody else except you, me and Sarah at the moment, the one about the memoirs.
Yes.
There's one in there written by a former client of mine called Sarah Turner, called something to do with Africa. And she is South African, and her husband's a Viking, and they lived in England. And they set off to drive the length of Africa. So they went from England through up to Denmark or wherever he was from, then through Europe, down to Spain and across into Africa, and drove the length of Africa in a Land Rover type of thing. And they wrote a book together. And what they did was my chapter, your chapter, my chapter, your chapter. So you had the two voices in the story. She was called African Girl Child, and he had another name in it. I can't remember now. But I thought it added a lot to the book, not just be in one voice, but to be in two voices.
Yeah. Well, the blog will definitely be that. We're going to.
But I think your book could be ABAB. I think it's actually, if anything, on that list of memoirs I shared with you, if anything, more interesting for the fact that you've got the two voices.
Yeah, I hope so, because we are very different, and it will be interesting. And Sarah's looking to find her passion in life, and I'm looking to get over what's happened to me. And we're going to write about that. So swaggerandsoul.com if you want to follow our journey. We've started already because obviously there's quite a lot of stuff coming up for me, letting go of everything in the house. But I'm going to talk a bit more about that in a minute. But I'm it's fueled my fire.
Good.
If you are bored by working for someone else, or tired of trading time for money, or a business owner who's ready to travel and have adventures, then Own It the Summit is for you. We interviewed 18 inspiring entrepreneurs enjoying unique lives. Now you can dip into those lives and decide which of the business models will work for you. Our interviews will show you how to design your dream life beyond the laptop, and how to live and work in your favourite ways and places. Our intrepid 18 share the tools and techniques they use to work on the go, and what living and working in total freedom really feels like. Find out more at ownitthesummit.com.
Client challenge of the week now.
I hope you've got one, because I haven't.
I have indeed. Right. I came across something that I promptly emailed to myself. I do that sometimes when I want to remember things. And it's interesting because it's exactly feeds into what you've been talking about with your clients coming and going, and how, your new clients are a good match for you. Well, one of the things I realised is that clicks and leads, I don't want to grow it to $1 million business. I want to just have 3 to 5 gorgeous clients for who I do great work and who love what I do and who are getting stuff out of it, i.e. a return on investment. And this came in across my desk and it said, so what would you do differently if you only get paid when a customer succeeds? Well, since that's how it actually works, you should. So basically, I'm thinking all the clients that weren't right in clicks and leads and all the clients that have been right, i.e. got a return on investment, been brilliant to work with, etc., I need to get to a place, and I think moving somewhere and not having any overheads for 6 months is going to help enormously, where I can be more choosy about the clients I take into clicks and leads. Because the challenge is that I don't know in advance whether they're going to work. In terms of how is their back end right? Is it going to convert to sales, etc., etc. But this email goes on to say, it says how to do this. Develop an ideal customer profile because you don't want to waste your time and resources going after customers that aren't going to work out. Figure out what success is for that ideal customer profile by understanding their desired outcome, what they need to achieve and how they need to achieve it. Only acquire customers with success potential. So that's an interesting thought we could discuss. Create a plan to get the customer from where they are to that success point. Get super granular on the steps required to execute that plan. Share that plan with the customer to ensure they know what they need to do to be successful. Ensure they do what they need to do and you do what you need to do in order to make sure they're successful. And that's another discussion point there, I think, because that's something that's quite hard to do. Intervene when they aren't making the progress they should be making. So for me, that's get in touch with them if they don't seem to be converting into sales. And I do. I always go and I say, have you changed? Because customers change their funnel, they change their thank you page, and they don't let me know. So I have to intervene when it doesn't look like they're making the progress they should be making. Intervene when other signals indicate they're not on a positive success vector. Actively seek out and bridge any success gaps that may exist. Proactively share insights gleaned from successful customers to your teams to ensure this cycle continues. And finally, proactively share insights from customers that haven't been successful to your teams to ensure you don't make those same mistakes again. In short, because you really do only get paid, the real long-term kind of paid, after customers are successful. So what you should do differently is adopt customer success as your operating model.
So what's the client challenge of the week? What's this episode going to be called?
It's going to be called The Right Kind of Customers.
Okay.
Because you've got to act as if you're not, and this works for coaching as well, you've got to act as if you're not going to get paid unless the customer succeeds in their goal when they join you.
Well, may I speak?
Mm.
Yesterday, I did 3 calls yesterday afternoon. It was potential new client, existing old client, potential new client. And I knew quite quickly in the first call that I didn't think I could help that person. And so had it come to it, I would not have taken them on because I didn't think there was anything I could do. I didn't think it wasn't the right match. Nothing wrong with the person, nice person.
Yeah.
I just didn't buy the vision that they were holding out. Yeah, that's right. So I think I said, well, what I'm saying is I don't take on all comers.
Yeah, and you need to make sure that you're in a position to do that, because when you're starting out in business, not you or me necessarily, but when you're starting out in business, people tend to just take whoever they need to.
Yes, and I did that as an accountant in 1980 something, and one didn't know any better, and perhaps had a higher threshold to annoying or difficult people, or perhaps people were less annoying and difficult in the 80s. I can't remember, but there did come a point later in that business where you were either grateful when people left. I don't remember sacking a lot of clients. I imagine I must have sacked 1 or 2, or there was a falling out and a parting of the ways. I can't really remember, but certainly now as a coach, I wouldn't take on a client where I didn't think I could help make a difference.
Yeah. See, I've got this challenge now that I wonder with clicks and leads this is another reason I want to get to a place where it's, the 3 to 5 clients I work with are ideal, but I wonder if I've got to a place where I'm making them jump through too many hoops, because inquiries, now I don't know if this is an energetic thing because of what's happened with Steve, inquiries are definitely down on last year. And I'm not sure if that's because I've raised the bar so high that people are reading my website and thinking, oh, that's not me. Because what I've got on my website is if you've got a proven successful product, and when I look back at last year, I had lots of people who were trying products out, who were using me to bring traffic to try products out.
Yeah.
But if I want to work with clients that I know are going to be, I can do my best work for, and that they'll be successful if I do, that sort of excludes those people.
Well, in a way, I don't think that's a bad thing, because if you think of the ones that you've enjoyed the most that can easily afford you and have got that proven product, try and get one of those in your mind. I can certainly get one or 2. Yeah. Well, they can easily, often they've come by referral actually, and they can easily afford you. And they're not so sensitive to what us smaller individuals are to the costs of your system.
Yeah.
So actually, fewer inquiries seems like a good thing to me, because you're doing a lot of those things that were in that long list you read out.
Yes.
Well, the only one I wrote down was more choosy. And by being more prescriptive on your website about people in order for this to be an ideal client for you, they've got to have a proven product. That's more choosy.
Yes. But still, the people coming through to book in to talk to me are not anywhere near that level. So yeah, we're back to the old referral business thing, aren't we? Because my best clients have come from referral.
And if you only want 3 to 5, they would come in a year.
Yes, they would.
And so maybe you should look to who have been the people who've been referring to you, and, you know, being in regular dialogue with them. Not about referrals, just being in regular dialogue so you're on the top of their mind. Proper old-fashioned networking, but you don't have to see them.
Yeah. It does bring up the question, should I change my business model so that I work with people to prove that I can do stuff, you know, get them success?
I don't think you can. I think the nature of Facebook ads is that you can't.
Because it's so much work up front. And to do all
not just that, but there's so many variables, and I just don't think there's any guarantee at the end of it for you or them.
No, because it does all depend on them taking the leads and converting them into sales. And I've got no control over that. But I suppose I held this, I emailed this thing to myself because I thought, is there a way to become more involved? Is there a way to not just offer Facebook ads, but to offer, you know, funnel creative? So basically I work with the client to set up the funnel, and when we run the traffic through to test the funnel until the funnel becomes successful. Do I need to go more than just Facebook?
Would you enjoy that?
I think I would, as long as the person was a prolific content creator. That's the key, because you can't make a funnel out when someone's not creating anything.
Yes.
On the front end. That was another client who, as you know, thought they were going to do lots of video and then just didn't.
Then I would look for 3 to 5 a year prolific content creators. I don't think they can be hard to find.
No, because then
there was something in that long list you read about working out your ideal customer
profile.
You target all your marketing for clicks and leads towards those 3 to 5 prolific content creators who've got the resources and the organization to pay for this from the beginning onwards. I mean, I think that the tragedy is so many of us in the independent sector want what your business can offer, but we don't have the resources all the time, and we're too anxious about it working too quickly and it costing too much. But your ideal client isn't.
No, they're not, because they've already got a successful, but they're probably a speaker, an author, an expert of some kind, and their old business model of going out and speaking from the stage and selling from the stage isn't quite working as well as it used to, and they know they need to get an automated funnel set up because they're leaving money on the table if they don't. Yeah, okay, I've had some insights on just talking this through with you.
But also I think, you're looking at partnerships with them, not in a financial sense, but and it says that in that long list you read out, there was an awful lot of intervene, be bossy, be a consultant, tell them what's what. There was a lot of directive stuff in there. Yeah. And that's like a business partnership. A project partnership is probably a better way of looking at it. It's like being a management consultant or a business consultant. And 3 to 5 people a year isn't difficult.
In a way, it's I've forgotten his name. The person we both found absolutely wonderful lives in Amsterdam. We interviewed him for the summit.
Yes, James Roche.
That's it. That's what he does, isn't it?
Yeah.
I remember thinking when I was listening to him, that sounds really attractive.
With big players.
Yeah, and be much more invested in their success.
Yes.
Just running Facebook ads for them.
Yes.
Ah, okay. This is sounding good, isn't it?
Yes.
Shall I forward the 12 items on to you so we can put it in the show notes?
Yes, why not? Because it's quite a long list and I couldn't write it all down.
No, of course not. I just told you how many items there were and said, don't worry about writing this down.
Now, there's one snag. Let's share with the gentle listener that we're using a new platform today. Instead of GoToWebinar, we're on Zoom. Now, on GoToWebinar, I used to have to see your clock and manage the time for the session, which you bungled horribly without me on the 5 weeks when I was away, and I can't see it on here.
Well, hang on a second. Lovely person.
Can you show me your screen or something?
I might be able to, yeah.
Oh, that would be exciting.
Join meetings contacts. Share screen, look at that.
Yes, I was going to say the right kind of customers. Go back, yeah.
So thinking about that we've just been talking about from a coaching point of view, because I know we probably get a lot of coaches listening to this. how would, so you are screening when you have these interviews, you are screening for the kind of
but I don't screen them with my brain. I screen them with my body. It's like, and it doesn't happen very often. But yesterday there was one, and I thought, I don't think I can bring anything to this project.
In terms of emotional support?
Oh, I could probably do that easy. But I can't add value. Couldn't add value because I don't want to say too much because of the confidentiality.
Yeah,
but the plan for the business, I didn't really get it.
Yeah.
And it didn't appeal to me. Mostly I can get everybody's vision and plan, and I can see something or feel something or both. I couldn't do that yesterday. And I'm trying to put into words feelings, and that's an easy thing for me normally, but it's not particularly easy in this example. I just felt there was just a leaden feeling in my chest, which is, this isn't a project for me.
Yeah, so you listen to your body then. And then what about when you're, because I know you do coaching calls, group coaching calls and one-to-one. How I know, you're quite directive. So how intervene do you get?
Well, my body is it's a strange thing to be talking to you about how I think of myself as a brainiac, and it's odd how much I'm telling you that my body gives me signs. When I intervene, it's usually when I lose my temper because I've been listening to them say, I want X, but do Y for a long time. Or they're telling, I'm fond of them, I'm in relationship with them, and I don't really believe what they're telling me or something like that. I don't lose my temper so much anymore, but I sometimes say I feel very strongly that I should tell you this. Or sometimes I say, there are words that want to come out of my mouth, neither of us are going to enjoy it very much, I'm just going to say it, is that okay? Because I don't want to hurt or upset anybody. But sometimes it bubbles up, not quite exorcist style, but it bubbles up and it's got to come out. And I feel it's an instinctive, it's something, I don't know how it's going to work for either of us, but I've got to say it. And because there's an energy, isn't there, where, in fact, when you were talking with that long list that you're going to send me, there was a heavy focus on success, which isn't something I like. And I wanted to say to you, success, because it's such a weird word that means so many different things to so many people, and it's not even on my wish list anymore. It was when I was an ambitious person,
but it's on your wish list for your clients, though, isn't it? And for me,
but what I'm saying is it's different for everybody. It's such a funny thing. I don't want to measure my results by success, because who knows what that means. I think the majority of my clients get success of one sort or another, and if they don't, it's because they haven't shown up.
Yeah. Well, see, I'm only going to get referrals for clicks and leads if my clients succeed, i.e. get a return on investment over and above their click costs and the fees that they're paying me.
Which is a reason why you can't take on the duffers, Nicola.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, and that's why I'm trying to manoeuvre myself into a position where I can be more selective.
Yeah,
because there's nothing more difficult when you've got overheads than not taking on a client who's begging to give you money. Well,
I agree. Now, so the value for our listener is that when we all have that first conversation with somebody who might become a new client, there's a full range of emotions, which is, this is exciting. Somebody might want me to help them. This is exciting. There's a new business opportunity here for me and them. This is exciting. They might pay me some money. There's all sorts of good things in the offing. But if we take on the wrong ones, none of that's going to happen, is it? Well, for any of us.
No.
So you're a fool to yourself if you take on anybody just for the money. Now, I'm thinking of one example, and I'm looking at my garden shed, and I remember having this conversation down my garden shed. There's somebody who shall remain nameless, but you and I both know her. And I didn't think I could help her. And I listened to her long story, and I said, look, I really don't know that I can help you. And she said, but I'd like to do it anyway. And I said, well, as long as that's on the table between us, that, we're both going ahead in the spirit of open exploration with no guarantees. I mean, I think the majority I take on, I can make a difference if they show up and experiment with things and, do the work and stick in. I wasn't sure I could do this woman that would make any difference, and I'm not sure it did make any difference, but that doesn't mean she didn't actually enjoy it.
Yeah. Yeah, we've got to remember we're education or entertainment or both.
Well, I think we're quite bossy. That's the funny sort of thing. And I think we want to be working in things where we feel we can help or make a difference. Otherwise, it's futile. Why would we all just want clients where they paid us money, but that no party either particularly enjoyed it or got some results, whatever that is? And the results are very subjective, I think. This is a whole interesting and quite messy thing. But I think in terms of, sometimes I can see that I make a difference to a client very quickly. And that's great. You can't guarantee that all the time. In fact, while we were away, I took off my monthly subscription options on both of my groups because you can't rent business coaching by the month. You got to stick in for a year or 3 because that's how long it takes.
That is such an interesting idea because every other coach is selling coaching by the month.
No, I'm not doing it anymore. It's too short-termist. Well, I want at least a year out of everybody because there's an acknowledgement there of the amount of work that's involved.
Yeah, and the ditto, I'm upping my minimum contract term to 6 months because it can take up to 3 months to get the results, and you've got to work with the client to make sure their back end converts to sales, leads to sales.
And if I think back over some of my best relationships, some of them take a year to get clear about what they're going to do.
Yeah.
And that, I don't mind that. If that's worth 600 quid of anybody's money to take a year to work out what you really should be doing.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember when I was coaching my bank manager about what he was going to do after he came out of the bank. It took him 2 years to work.
Well, there you go. I rest my case.
Yes. And he only found out what he did want to do by working out all the things he didn't want to do.
Yeah, well, that's the way I used to do it as well in the olden days.
Yeah, that works. Okay, so this is good.
What I'm taking from this is to be more choosy.
Yeah, and what I'm really focused on at the moment is putting myself in a position where I can be more choosy. Because by going to live overhead free for 6 months, I'm not going to have to take one single solitary client on that I don't think I can A, do a good job for and get a result for, and B, that I don't think is going to do the work required at their end to get that result as well.
Well, I'll tell you what I like about that. It's uncompromising. And that's exactly what we both got out of that book, which I'm going to talk more about later.
Yeah, cool. I look forward to that. Okay, so what's your word of the week then?
Well, it's, as alluded to, bittersweet, and it's what I'm going to call my newsletter this week. It's because of the sadness of the loss and the sweetness of the coming.
Yeah, nice. And it's not technically 2 words?
No, it's not technically 2 words. As if.
Couldn't resist.
Yeah, I think you did allow a couple of 2 words. You even allowed a phrase when I was away. I thought, dearie me.
I know. I've got so much pleasure out of doing those.
There was an awful lot of talking about me behind my back.
I know. I got so much pleasure out of thinking about your reactions at certain
Yeah, quite. Smoke coming out of my ears. Now, tell me, have you chosen one word today yourself?
I have. It's divest.
Oh, nice.
I know, it's new, and it means to shed things, get rid of things, and that's what we're doing. Judith, you would not believe it. Now, this is really sad, right? I've got a table full of books here, which are all business, personal development, marketing, internet marketing, wealth creation, and I got this app called Fat Brain out, and apparently I think it was you and Rachel talking about it, wasn't it? Because she got rid of a load of her books. My first coach got rid of a load of her books. Not one of my books is worth more than 10p, and a lot of them are worth 0, which I know. Incredible.
Well, I got rid of all of mine when I lived in Canary Wharf. That's about 9 years ago in a boot fair. 3 for £1. And people who were buying them at the boot fair were so thrilled. And that came out of Rachel's post on Facebook, is that she said all these books are going to new homes. The knowledge in there will go to new homes, go to people who will love it. And in effect, you're being like a benefactor, Nicola.
I know. And that's how I got over it. And we were looking at our cookbooks yesterday, and Sarah said, I don't even remember buying this one. She said it must have come as a bonus book with something else. And, so thousands of pounds I've spent on books over the years that turn... The knowledge is in my head, but the actual physical thing isn't worth 10p. I don't know.
You see, that doesn't surprise me at all. Because it's a bit like when you buy a new car. You lose thousands of pounds in depreciation before you leave the showroom. There's no value in old stuff anymore. Oh, God, I'm sounding like an old lady. There's no value in old stuff.
And I've been right. I mean, the wonderful thing is that, all of these reflections are now blog fodder for me. So
yes,
that's really getting me going.
Yes, indeed. Divest. I'm loving Divest.
Yeah, good word. Project updates then.
Well, mine is the selling of the London flat and moving to France, and I don't want to talk about it because I'm still in London and not in France. Let that be the end of it. I hope you've got a long thing to say in your project update.
No, but we need to bring this in under an hour because I've overrun on every other
okay.
recently. Okay. No new projects, you'll be amazed to hear, except one could argue that Swagger and Soul is a new project.
Yes, it is, yes.
But what I'm doing now is I'm doing things that are lead generators. So Swagger and Soul is going to be a new lead generator for my existing projects. And the projects are, as we've just discussed, traffic, funnel creation, and mentoring, internet marketing mentoring. And those are the three things. And everything has to be a front end to that now. Just to let you know, I rewrote Science of Getting Rich online.
Yes.
And I'm up to version 4 now, but I've got it's had over 300 views. I read out the introduction on YouTube and made it into a video, and it's had over 300 views, and it's getting a lot of those views from suggestions. So where your video gets shown next to other people's videos, because of the fantastic John Penberthy course Phoebe and I did. It tells you how to set up your YouTube videos properly, and it is working. And I'm getting opt-ins every day from that, from brand new people that, have never heard of me, and I've never heard of them. So that's really cool. That's working nicely. And I'll just keep going with that until I get to a point where it's ready to put onto Amazon, but it's not there yet. It's quite a lot of untangling of archaic language and trying to make it into English, plain English. So yes, all front end for me projects now are leading to lead generation.
All front end. I'm writing this down.
All front end, nothing on the back, because I've got the back sorted. The back end's all sorted.
All front end leading to lead generation. Is that what you said?
All front end projects which are lead generation orientated.
Yes. Okay.
So because my back end's sorted.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't.
No, FNAF. Who or what's impressed?
Well, the woman, Daphne Capsali, KAPSALI.com, a book that Nicola and I both read in the last 10 days called 100 Days of Solitude. And why it was so right for Nicola is because Daphne Capsali, you can tell from her name, although she was a Londoner, was born in Athens, Greek, and she decided to stay on after the summer had ended in her family home on the island of Sifnos to give herself 100 days to discover whether or not she could be a proper writer. And we discover what it's like to live in Greece in September, October, November, December, and I don't think I'm breaking any confidences to say she stays on a bit longer than that. She does have 3 books published now. She did run a Kickstarter campaign where she made £3,500 to pay for her 100 days. This was a few years ago. But she just did a blog post for each of the 100 days. We were both very taken by it, weren't we?
Yeah, we were. And the thing it made me realise is I might need to take more cardigans to Greece.
Yes, yeah, and all sorts of things that one wouldn't think of, actually. Yes, there's winter sunshine, but there's also, there was a need for an electric blanket and a dehumidifier.
Yeah, I was a bit perplexed by that. Do you think that was because she was on an island that it was so humid?
There was big weather.
Yeah, I know. You get big weather in Greece. I mean, the storms are legendary, but
there was big weather. I tell you what made me very happy is, even though, and I've lived on a lot of islands, even though you're dependent on the boat bringing everything, the boat brought everything. She didn't, apart from having to go to Athens occasionally to meet her boyfriend once and stock up on some things, everything could be delivered to the island. You had to wait a bit, but it came eventually.
Yeah, and I think I don't quote me on this, but I think that Marks and Spencer's Athens now will deliver to the Peloponnese.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure I've got an address, but the post all goes to Pefco Taverna. So they either bring it up to you, because the lady who helps at Pefco lives next door but one, or I'll be going down there to see Elias anyway. But well, the thing I was impressed with the book, and I actually read it in pretty much one sitting, I couldn't stop myself reading it, was that good, is that she actually left her boyfriend to go and live for 3 months to 6 months on her own to get these writing projects done. I didn't think she had a boyfriend at first, but then it gradually crept in that she did.
Yeah, a nice one, actually. There was a nice romantic rendezvous in Athens, and I think the moving bit of the story was, how the islanders came to accept her.
Yeah. There's and then I learned some new words, which was quite good. So that now here we go. Here's a thing. Duolingo doesn't do Greek.
Oh, that's a shame.
Gutted.
That is a shame. Is it coming soon?
I don't know. I'll have to put a support ticket in, because I downloaded it before I even realised. I was so looking.
I thought I saw somebody saying something about Duolingo and Greek. Maybe it's coming soon. I must say here, having banged on for weeks about Duolingo, that I ended up very disappointed in Duolingo.
Oh no!
Because I got to the end, but the end is only 50% fluency.
Oh, so you can't...
So all the way through, you're seeing your percentage go up, 5, 10, 15, 20, and you get to 50, and you think, I'm halfway there, and then it ends.
Oh, God.
I know.
Do you feel all finished?
I do. I think, I was looking for... Maybe it's me, because I'm a very bad reader of the small print. Maybe it's said at the beginning, it's only going to take you so far. But I thought, being a mathematician... being able to see your percentage, that we were on the way to 100, but no, we weren't. We were on the way to 50.
No, it seems all wrong to me.
Well, to me too. And I do go in every day now, and what happens is your tree goes golden, as it's described, and you have to keep your tree golden. But I only have to do very little to keep my tree golden, and you could say 50% fluency ain't bad. There is another product I've discovered which is coming out in fact, I'll talk about this next week, because there's a really interesting man and a blog and a business that's bringing out a brand new way of learning languages. I don't think Greek's one of them. I'm so sorry.
It's supposed to be one of the hardest languages.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yeah.
And the hieroglyphics, Ben.
Well, I know you've got a different. It's a bit like Chinese. You've got a different, writing to learn.
Yeah. Well, I'm not so worried about the writing. I just want to be able to speak a bit. So
yes.
So what's impressed me is a new thing that's coming called Planet of the Apps. It's a new series with will.i.am, Gwyneth Paltrow, and wine star turned brand builder Gary Vaynerchuk. I'm so excited, I can't tell you. The three entrepreneurs will offer guidance to app developers who appear on the show. It's still unclear what the exact format will be, but it sounds like Planet of the Apps could be akin to a nerdier Shark Tank. And Paltrow's been getting quite a lot of vicious trolling on social media about this, but she's probably the executive producer where she's bringing in the money and making it happen, isn't she? And she might even be an investor herself. We don't know.
People are very mean to Gwyneth Paltrow. I'm not quite sure why.
No, it's really mystifying, really, isn't it?
Mm.
But so I'm really looking forward to that. I've got to find out, obviously, how we're going to be able to watch British television and American television in Greece. But I'm sure
I can tell you how to do that now. You need VPN.
A VPN, right?
Yeah.
I thought I might.
Yeah.
And so I'm really looking forward to that, because this is Gary Vaynerchuk's launch into mainstream television, and he just snapped today that he had a name badge. When you go to a posh dinner and they have your name place, what's it called? Place cards.
Yeah.
And he Snapchatted his place card from, he was obviously at a big dinner with them all, and I don't know why I'm so excited about it. I love will.i.am, I love Gary Vaynerchuk, and I like Gwyneth Paltrow, and I think the premise of the show is going to be exciting.
So it's a TV show, is it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Yes, so that's us, Judith.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, we've clawed back some of the 10 minutes you allowed your guests to overrun throughout August, Nicola.
Okay, see you next week.
All right, bye for now.
Bye.
Bye.
You've been listening to Nicola Cairncross and Judith Morgan. The podcast is called Own It, Your Business and Your Life. Do come and visit us at ownitthepodcast.com. We'd love to hear your feedback. You can find out more about Judith and visit her on her website at judithmorgan.com, and you can find Nicola at nicolacairncross.com.